Hello YouTube, this is Froogle, taking a first impressions look at the new Coolsky DC-9. Now this was actually developed by Coolsky, it's published by Flight 1, but all the texturing and modeling, or a lot of the texturing and modeling, was done by McFat Studios, who have done a number of high detail textures on other aircraft. I think it was the MD-80 they did as well, also from Flight 1. Now, this is an interesting aircraft. I'm only going to do a first impressions right now. I'm going to do a full review later on because it's a very, very detailed sim. This is a $50 add-on for FSX, which puts it almost in the same price bracket as the PMDG NGX, 737 NGX, maybe even the MD-11. That kind of price point, that kind of level of modeling as well and detail in the systems, but it's a steam-powered aircraft. You know, there is no FMC in this, there's no flight computer or anything like that. Now, because it's at that price point and that level of complexity, a lot of people are comparing it in every aspect to the NGX, and the reason that's important is actually performance. Now, on my computer here, I normally get, within the NGX, I normally get about, whoops, I pressed the wrong button, hang about. I normally get about 40 frames per second average out of the NGX. I have my machine configured very, very well indeed. This aircraft, when I first installed it, sparked huge debate over on the AvSim forums because I, as well as many others, were only getting around about 10, 14, 15 frames per second. Now, I spent a lot of time with this last night trying to figure out what the hell was going on. I ended up deleting FSX and reinstalling it, and now I'm getting mid-30s again, just like on the NGX, but bear that in mind. There is obviously a conflict between this aircraft and some of the more popular add-ons out there. If you have that conflict, you're not going to get good performance, so just bear that in mind. It's a lot of money to spend for an aircraft which actually you can only get 14, 15 frames a second out of. Some people are saying that's not actually a big deal. It actually is a big deal because of the way FSX handles its simulation of the flight model. The simulation of the flight model in FSX is tied to the frame rate. If you are only getting 14 or 15 frames per second, then FSX is only updating the aircraft's response to your inputs 14 or 15 times a second, which is pretty dire if you're trying to land in a heavy crosswind and all that good stuff. Just bear that in mind. You can get it running faster. In my case, I had to uninstall FSX, and I'm slowly putting stuff back on to try and figure out where the conflict was, but just bear that in mind. Hopefully by the time I do the full review, I'll have a lot more information on that. Anyway, I'm just flying around this, wanted to show you the outside skins and texture. It really is a beautiful aircraft. They've done an incredible job. Let's look under this wing here. See, even down to that, look at those rivets, and you can see the dirt in the seam there with the aileron. It's a nice weathered texture, nice weathered model. There are 6 liveries that come with this aircraft. That would be Aeromexico, Eastern, Hawaiian, Scandinavian Air, Alitalia, and Ansett. Strangely, no Delta, no United, and no Cargo. Maybe they'll be coming later on. Now, let's jump into the cockpit, and I'll show you the cool stuff in here. I'm not going to go flying this today, but I am going to show you some very, very cool things, which some of the stuff I'm going to show you is what actually convinced me to get this aircraft. It's that good. I just want to keep flying around actually and looking. I'm going to keep doing that. I'll dive in a minute. I just love the modeling on this. This is like grubby skin, isn't it? Normally I fly the Scandinavian one, not the Eastern one. The Scandinavian one's a lot prettier. This is dirty. Anyway, let's get in the cockpit. Here we are in the cockpit. Now, as I said, it's a steam-powered cockpit. There is no FMC, there are no flight computers. So a big part of flying this aircraft is actually knowing how to navigate. You need to go VOR to VOR and ADFs as well, ADF to ADF and all that good stuff. It is not like flying a 737 or a 747 or an MD-11. There are no computers to help you. There is an autopilot, and it's a classic Sperry-style autopilot. There it is right there, which you might be familiar with if you've flown planes like the B-17. You know, it's derived from that. It's that classic. I've set up some views. I'm just going to jump around the views here. So there's my standard pilot's view. Pretty good view. You've got the main instruments down here. Light switches here. Now we go to the top panel, and it gets the similarities with the NGX start to grow here. A very, very complex top panel. These are all warning lights. Obviously, all the main switches here and here. And here. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. See all these circuit breakers? Every one of these circuit breakers works. That's not all, though. See all these circuit breakers? Every single one of those circuit breakers works as well. I actually need to move my view here. Look at that. See how many there are? Utterly, utterly amazing level of detail. If you get failures in this aircraft which require you to start checking circuit breakers, that's where you need to go. And like I said, each of them works. Each of them is clickable. See that? I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I had the views set up in the cockpit to move a little faster than I would like, but all of these are checkable, clickable. If you get a failure, the appropriate one or ones pop out. It's very, very deep. There's the radios down there. Tons of navigation aids like DME, ADF, your normal nav radios, your VHF radios up here, your frequencies here, your autopilot here. Pretty much all you can do is manage vertical speed, indicated airspeed hold, Mach hold, pitch hold, and that's about it. You can adjust your rate of turn here, adjust your rate of pitch here. Very, very, very basic autopilot. We like that. Forgotten what this is. I haven't read the manual yet. It's 500-page manual. It looks like a radar. I think it's a radar, but who knows. ADF over here. And don't go bitching me out in the comments. I know it's probably something very important. I haven't read the 500-page manual. I'll get to that when I do the full review. So don't jump on Froogle. Oh, you're such a noob. Main engine dials right here. Again, steam powered. Very, very nice updating on these as well. Very smooth. There's my main flight dials down there. There's another view of the cockpit. If I had the views set up to be a little bit more floaty, I could do all the artistic floating stuff, but I'm not going to bother right now. Let's just put it back into the normal view. Now, here is where the real amazing stuff in this aircraft comes in. As I said, it comes with a quick start guide almost, which is 35-40 pages long. It comes with a 500-page operations manual, which is actually very similar to the QRH in a 737, your quick reference handbook. So it's got your emergency procedures, your standard procedures, all that good stuff. The rest of the documentation is actually here in the aircraft. Let me show you. There's a little button down here, and when you click it or hover over it, you get all this stuff. So there's a bunch of buttons here which take you to standard views. That's the weather radar. That's the weather radar down there before you bitch me out. That's the weather radar. I can jump to a two-dimensional view. You know, it's a 2D panel type view for pretty much anything very, very quickly. So there's the overhead. I'm not a big fan of those views. I actually like working with a proper virtual cockpit, but for those of you that don't mind working with those things, that's kind of cool. You can jump to a two-dimensional panel of any one of those areas. Pretty neat, right? Nothing amazing there. Now it gets good. Speed cards. So you can pop over to speed cards and go through these landing and takeoff speeds based on flap settings and all that good stuff right in the cockpit. You've got checklists. Now these are fully interactive checklists. This is incredible. So I've just taken the aircraft, receipt of the aircraft. I'm doing a safety and power on checklist. So let's go click in here. Are you going to work for me? I need to click on that one. Oh, good, good. For the sake of a video, you're actually not going to work. How awesome are you? Let's try next.
Originating and receiving checklist.
So now you can just click through the items. You can click on next item. If you don't have the spacebar bound, you can whack space to go through each of the things. But you can jump through these. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Before start checklist.
Okay, well that's not working, probably because of my reinstalls, and I didn't fully reinstall this aircraft. Not sure what's going on, but normally you can click in here and you go through the checklist, and it doesn't do it for you like some other aircraft, but it actually, the co-pilot will read out everything, and then you can walk around the various dials and panels and views, checking off the buttons, hitting the spacebar or this next item button, and moving down the checklist with it all speaking to you, which is
after start checklist.
Very, very cool. We like that. That's awesome. Another thing that you can do with this, which is awesome, is if we go to the flight center, check this out. I can auto configure the aircraft for anything I want. So at the moment we're cold and dark. I don't know what the noise is that you can hear in the background. It seems to be wind, but there's no wind here, so maybe that's a bit of a bug. I can configure this aircraft as good to go right now. Check this out. If I go engines running, ready for push and taxi. You'll start to see the engines come online in a second. Here they go, I can hear them. Hydraulic pressure is rising over here. Oil pressure is rising here. Brake pressure, very good. Here come the engines. So it's not just a quick jump into this state. whatever's happening here is actually doing everything it should do behind the scenes to configure this aircraft. I mean, it's running through all the buttons and the options and the settings, fully configuring this. Wow, all the warning lights being tested there. Very, very cool. Now, normally if you have bloom on, these things are a little bit garish. It looks kind of pretty. I've turned bloom off, which is why they look flat. So don't really judge those lights on Froogle's video here. They actually look very, very good if you have bloom on. I was just
Parking brake set.
trying to configure the frame rates when I was having some problems. So there's that. It's still going through the startup. That's crazy. Let's pop outside. The sound set outside is not as good as inside. There is a sound cone attached to these engines. It's a little weak. Now the other stuff you can do down here, go back into the flight center, you got schematics. These show you the current state of all the systems in the aircraft. So my fuel system, for example, is right here. I can see what's powered up, what is not powered up, where fuel is flowing, and so on and so on. I can configure this stuff here. Look at this, isn't this amazing? So if I start turning off some fuel pumps, which is probably not the best thing to do right now, but I'm going to. Let's turn that one off. You see the pump change? See it turn red? There's no fuel flowing from this pump now. What else have we got? Let's turn off the left pumps. See the green lines here? Boom. Boom. Turn on my center pumps. Oh, losing fuel. Look at that. Warning lights are up and everything else. That is amazing, especially when you're trying to diagnose problems with the aircraft. That's pretty damn cool. Same on hydraulics over here. Lots of switches to control the hydraulic pump, so I can view the pressures here. I can see which systems are receiving hydraulic fluid and so on and so on. Same on pneumatics. Same on electrical. Very, very amazing. More than anything else, this is a great way of learning the aircraft. Walking through these and just messing with these switches, trying to figure out what switch does what and what the effects on the aircraft are. This is incredible. Such a good way of learning. So that's that. Let me jump into some more stuff down here. Training. There's a whole training system built into this, which is nuts. Let's go on to before takeoff checklists and training. So it pops this up now, and look, it talks you through every aspect of learning to fly this aircraft and highlights what you need to do. So check all the flags are out of the view on a standby horizon, which they are. Scan all the flight instruments for flags out of view, normal indication, correct settings and modes, which is great. Go through, select speed command for the flight director. Haven't done that yet. Have now. Look at this. Now it wants to go set the stabilizer trim. First locate the stab setting on the load summary. Yes, there is a full load manager built into this, which is incredible. You go into dispatch here, load up your packs here, load up your cargo, load up your fuel. It gives you a full weights and balances sheet which you can print out, and you can get your V-speeds from that, your flap settings. Amazing stuff, very amazing. So training covers everything, all the normal standard checklists, also procedures like ILS approaches, Cat 1 and Cat 2, going around, cruise, descent, holding, as well as emergency stuff like smoke in the cockpit. We'll get onto smoke in a second. Abnormal conditions, APU too high, heat too high, navigation, how to actually navigate without a computer doing it all for you, and tips and tricks, which is very, very amazing. There's a full walkthrough here, full tour of the cockpit. Look, welcome to this tour of the DC-9. We're going to go through the cockpit now. This is this, this is this, and 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 this. I love this aircraft for that alone. It's incredible. This is a study aircraft, so providing a study tool right in the cockpit is just wonderful. This is the 2D cockpit, by the way. I don't know how I ended up on that. Let's get out of it. Not a big fan of 2D cockpits. Okay. What else we got here? Ground operations. You saw some of this. I can connect up the ground power units. I can do pushback right here.
Ground from cockpit.
Go ahead.
We are ready for pushback.
Roger that. Ready for pushback. Release the brakes, please.
So, release the brakes.
Released.
Copy that. Brakes released. Starting pushback.
Holy cow. Now you guys know from watching the PMDG videos I've done, I'm a big fan of having an automated co-pilot. That's built into this aircraft. You don't need to go and buy FS to crew. It's already here, which is, not too shabby. I don't know what's going on outside, whether I have a tow truck attached. Let's have a look. No. Just using the standard yaw command, slew command, sorry, in FSX. Are you gonna turn me? Is it a pushback and turn? Uh-oh. I don't know whether I need to set the brakes on this. Some aircraft you do, or whether it's going to do it for me. Hopefully it does it for me. PMDG FS2 cruise style. I'm getting awfully close to the grass there. Alright, Froogle, let's do it yourself. That had no effect. Alright, nice little bug there in the pushback. We are now cutting the grass. What? Oh, good. Well, it's good. I don't mind finding bugs in the first impressions. That's a good thing.
Cockpit from ground. Set parking brake.
Yeah, I should, right?
Brakes are set.
Okay. So you have that, which is neat. Let's go back into flight center here. It says ground ops. Pushback, and is that turn? Oh, starting engine. Wow, wow, wow. NavSim, because you're navigating with radios, VORs, DMEs, ADFs, you have this built in, which is pretty awesome. It will show you all the radios nearby. It will show you what you're tuned into, where you're getting where you're getting a signal from, the frequency that you're receiving. You can use this to learn how to navigate. So lots more stuff built in there to help you in terms of learning. Gosh, what have I missed here? Options, this is all standard option stuff, just to speed it up, slow it down, change the volume of things, all that good stuff. I'm going to ignore that. Let's look at failures. You can configure pretty much anything on this aircraft to fail. You can have a bird strike on approach, bird strike on takeoff. Very awesome, we like that. Watch this. Left engine fire. And then over here, it starts to get really intense. Cracked windshield, amazing. Fire protection. I'm trying to find smoke in the cockpit. This has a full smoke simulation built in. I'm not finding it. There's a lot of things to scroll through, as you can see, so forgive me for not finding it. If things catch fire and you get smoke in the cockpit, you will see smoke in the cockpit. It makes life very hard. It's very hard to look at anything, to focus on anything. Must be one of these. No, these are just fire protection with no fire. So let's see if we can find one with fire. Fuel? Let's go back to emergency. Let's do a left engine fire. Set that trigger. Now I can say where the trigger happens. So it happens immediately above a certain altitude, when my speed reaches a certain thing, when I lift off, when my gear handle passes up. So you could be taking off, climbing out, raise the gear, boom, left engine fire. Very, very, very amazing. Passing a certain marker on the ground, navigational marker, which is cool. Let's go ahead and set that now. I'm not sure this is going to do the smoke in the cockpit. In fact, I'm not even going to do that, just in case I am missing something else. Here we go. That's the one. That's the one I wanted. Okay, smoke in the cockpit right now. Do it. That's on. We should be getting some smoke. There it is. Smoke in the cockpit. Got a master caution light going on here. And more bugs. Let's go and clear that condition. There we go. Go away, smoke. Cool. Oh, no, the smoke is still there. So I've probably broken my aircraft now. Oh, no, there's the smoke. It's gone away. So that's neat. What else have we got here? Auto aircraft config. You already saw that. I can do it for parking, do it for takeoff. Let's do that one. There we go. Lights on, ready for takeoff. Pop outside. There's the lights. It's got a pretty cool night lighting system. I'm not going to go into that right now because I need to reconfigure the sim and my recording, but I will put that into the review as well, the full review video. So there we go. Froogle's first impressions of the Coolsky Flight 1 DC-9. It is a beautiful aircraft. The modeling in here is tremendous. really up to PMDG standards. However, you got to watch out for those frame rates. And as you've seen, there are a couple of issues, a couple of quirky little bugs that you need to pay attention to, which can ruin your fun a little bit. By and large, though, a beautiful aircraft. If you're into steam-powered cockpits and classic jetliners, well worth a look, especially if they patch it. Thanks for watching. As always, my name is Froogle. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think, and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Catch you later.